Zokta Rambam Hilchas Megillah v'Chanukah Perek Rishon Halacha Rishon. Kriyas HaMegillah Bizmana Mitzvahs Hasei B'Divrei Seifrim B'Advarim Yedurim Shehi Takonas Neviim. That needs to pshat really. Is it Divrei Seifrim? Is Kriyas HaMegillah Takonas Neviim? Hakol Chayavim B'Kriyasa. Everyone is chayiv to read the Megillah. Anashim v'nashim v'gerim v'avadim m'shoichrorim. Mechanchen es a ketanim l'kreisa. V'afilu kayhanim b'avedasim mevatlon avedasim. Kayhanim should stop their avodah to hear Kriyas Megillah. U'bani l'shmai mikra Megillah. V'chem mevatlon Talmud Torah. We stop learning l'shmai mikra Megillah. Kavachayim l'shar mitzvahs. Other mitzvahs, so for sure we stop to go hear Kriyas Megillah shal Torah. Shekula nidachin mipnei mikra Megillah. Everything is pushed off. Nothing takes precedence over Mikra Megillah, chutz mimes mitzvah, except for one case where there's no one to bury a dead body. She'ein like koivrim, when there's specifically no one else. And even by mes mitzvah, if there's someone else to do it, then still Kriyas Megillah would override it. So the only case would be if there's no one else to bury the dead body. The kasha is evident in this Rambam. It's mevur how important the reading of the Megillah is. But how is it possible that he starts off? We can ask it as a stira that it's midarabanan and it's midivrei seifrim. That's where the Megillah came from, and that's where it was enacted from. But it's doiche all the other mitzvahs in the Torah, even mes mitzvah. That there's, and the only time is that she'ein acher l'kovroi. That's the only other time that I should stop my Mikra Megillah. What are we missing here? Why is it so important? And maybe we can say a pshat into the entire Purim as to what the pshat in the Rambam is and why Megillah is so important. We'll base it on the Vilna Gaon and on the Ramban and Seif Parshas Bay, and everything should flow beautifully. Mirza Hashem. We can first start with the Rambam, that we know that the Rambam says the klal of kol ha-mitzvahs in the Seif Parshas by the famous Ramban. Why do we do mitzvahs? We do mitzvahs because they connect us to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to realize that He runs the world. And the Ramban continues that we don't have a chelik in Torahs Moshe until we are ma'amin, until we believe that everything that happens to us in our lives is a nes. Not the nisim hagedolim. Obviously, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu split the Yam Suf Avada, that's a nes. But even the small things, when we wake up in the morning, that's a nes. Everything is a nes. Now we can go to the Vilna Gaon. The Vilna Gaon, he says it's in Pasuk Beis. He weaves the same yesod throughout the Megillah, that everything that happened in Megillas Esther is all hidden. It's all private. It all is seems like Teva. It happened over 9 years, this Purim story. It's literally about a king, and there's different politicians, and nothing seems to be going well. And slowly but surely, as the Megillah unfolds, we see how everything was really exactly what was supposed to happen. And we see from the end of the story that everything at the beginning was actually 100% a nes, because Hashem set this up. The lashon of the Vilna Gaon is Sivev HaKadosh Baruch Hu Nasais Nes B'derech HaTeva. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, He literally set up Sivev. He set up his pawns. He set up his puppets. HaKadosh Baruch Hu did, to make a nes for the Yidden, and it all seemed like Teva. The nes of Purim is that. And we'll say right away, this is why it's so important, is because the nes of Purim is to show that nisim, that there's no such thing as teva, and everything is a nes. And why does it doicha all the other mitzvahs? Ramban said all the mitzvahs are to show us that everything is really a nes. Perhaps we'll say the pshat on that is because what we see from the Megillah is that in a chanami, I see that it's a nes when I can connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the Purim story is intrinsically showing me that everything that happens in life is a nes. So when I'm going to shake a lulav, and that's going to connect me to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's beautiful. But when I read the Kriyas Megillah, it's all about how HaKadosh Baruch Hu, everything He does is really a nes. We have 10 rayas, and we'll only go through some of them, as to why This is the simcha of Purim, and there's no simcha like this. It's a simcha of emunah, it's a simcha of bitachon, it's a simcha of that nothing can ever go wrong in my life. We'll start with raya number 1 as to where we see how important it is, this yisoid of Siva HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lases Neis B'derech HaTeva is the yisoid of Purim, and as to why it knocks off all the other mitzvahs. Because all mitzvahs are to show me this point and to connect HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Megillah does just that. It's literally breaking down this yisoid, piece by piece. Raya number 1. There's a halacha that's brought in the Rambam. Hakari l'mafreya. Anyone who reads the Megillah out of order, lo yatsa. Why specifically lo yatsa out of order? What's the big deal? I'll read Parak Aleph, then I'll read Parak Dal, and I'll read Parak Beis. But Chayr will say the pshat is like this because it has to be b'derech hateva. The story has to start with first Vashti, and then it has to move into Esther, and then it all has to play out in order because otherwise it won't look like Teva. And it needs to look like Teva to prove this to us that there's no such thing as Teva. It's really a nes. We have another, Rebbe Chanan brings, when we say on Ala Nisim, there's something called Nisim v'niflois. Nisim are open Nisim. For example, if vinegar would light on fire, that's a nes. But if oil lights on fire, all of a sudden that's not a nes? No. That's niflois, because it's also unbelievable. It really is a nes too. We're just used to it. We say that in Purim because this is exactly what the Purim story is. It's Nisim v'niflois. Hashem could change anything, and even when He doesn't change anything, that's also a nes. When someone could change something, but they don't, but they're still in control of it all, that's the same thing as a nes. I'll be the Vilna Gaon and I'll be the Rambam. We have a beautiful, beautiful second raya. And these rayas are all over the place, based on Hamelech and the Megillah. We have one of the strongest rayas we have. My second Seder Chavrusa showed me. It says that another halacha in the Rambam that all Yomim Tovim are going to be batel when Mashiach comes, except for Purim. That's what the Rambam brings in Hilchos Megillah v'Chanukah. Why? The Chayr will say the pshat because the Chag of Pesach is to commemorate exactly what happened in the past. And the Chag of Sukkot is to commemorate what happened in the past. We used to be Avodim and Hashem saved us, and then there was Sukkot and all these different things. Purim is still happening b'poil nowadays. And we also said that was the pshat and why there's a mitzvah not just to be b'simcha just in on Purim, but even during the entire Adar. Also, we said this is why it's having in common from Tisha B'Av. It's still shaykh nowadays. What's shaykh nowadays? It's shaykh the idea of that there's no such thing as Teva, and the simcha, it flows into the whole entire Adar. Now, why exactly is Purim going to be the only holiday that's not going to be batel in the Yom HaMashiach? Because when we're walking through the streets in the Yom HaMashiach, and Mir Hashem, Meher B'Yameinu, we're going to be walking through the streets, and there's going to be nisim happening all over the place. Water's going to split on our way to work in the morning. What's going to be a bigger nes? Water splitting or regular wow? Would you believe that it looks like when nothing's happening, that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu? That's going to be a bigger nes. This is the most geshmak raya. Open nisim are going to be old hak. Really, Purim, a nes b'derech hateva, is going to be the only chag that's not going to be mevatel, because that's really going to be the nes that we see in everything that Hashem did for us is always a nes, and we're going to need to remind ourselves that, even the Yom HaMashiach. And we have, I think it's 7 other rayas to this yisoid. And throughout the Megillah, it keeps popping up. But the Iker Simcha on Purim is to know that Tzivei v'HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'aseh nes b'derech hateva. It's not just a vart back then Hashem did it, but even nowadays, Hashem continues to make nisim for us. And we have to understand, this is why we also drink on Purim, because we want to see and we want to know that there's no such thing as good and bad. Everything is a nes and it's always Ratzon Hashem. We're supposed to get to the point of Ad Lo Yada, because there's no difference between Haman and Achashverosh. There's no difference between who's elected president. It's all Siviv HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lasos Nes B'derech HaTeva. It's Kulanu a Nes. We should be Zoicha to party in a Emunah Dika Oifen and a Mitzvah Dika Oifen. Freilich in Purim.